Chess friends, I hope you are doing well. Today is a very exciting day, and I played against the Torch chess heir in this match. He sacrificed his bishop in the opening, and the game was full of tactics and strategies. You may wonder why I didn't play against Princess Chess. The reason is very clear. I accused her of cheating, and the chess servers are analyzing whether she was cheating or not. She will be banned for a few days, anyway, as a god of chess. I will show you incredible chess games in the coming days. I started the game with e4, we have e5, knight f3 and knight c6. Here, rather than considering the rule of edge or c3, d4, I played knight to c3, and Torch lit up the board with bishop to c5, attacking the pawn. Here, two main moves for white to consider are bishop c4 and d3 as well, but I played a very bold and romantic move, knight takes e5, sacrificing the knight as a tempo because if black dares to capture the knight, d4 will arrive, attacking both pieces. And whether you retreat your bishop or capture the pawn on d4, it does not matter because the queen will dominate the center of the board, and after d6, even if white considers f4 to kick out the knight in order to attack the pawn, white's position will be very vulnerable because after black plays queen to h4 check, forcing g3, black can then play the dangerous looking move, knight to f3, checking the king and attacking the queen at the same time. White will have some slight advantages. Which is why going back to the position, instead of capturing the knight, Torch says, hey Stockfish, if you can pull off tricky moves, then I can make tricky moves too. Torch made a mirrored move by capturing the pawn, and after I captured the bishop, knight takes e5 followed, and Torch brilliantly captured the piece, queen to f6 also appeared. My king was in a dangerous position, so I played d4, kicking out the knight. After bishop e3, I pretended as if I had castled because my king needed safety before I could consider any attacks. After a few moves, you could see that my rook had control of the open f file, and after castling, my queen moved to e1. She was very determined and curious to go to g3 to put pressure through this file, where h4 and h5 were approaching, and also my bishop's diagonal was aligned. I could move my pawn to dominate the center as well. Let's see what happens and how I defeated Torch. After d5, h4 arrived, and h5 was on its way. Noticing that the pawn was under attack, Torch couldn't make any normal moves, such as advancing pawns, moving the queen, or even playing h6. If Torch tried that, I would have played h5, since Torch's knight had no good outposts. He had to retreat, and after e5, knight f5 followed by bishop d3, putting pressure on the knight. After knight takes d4. I could make a brilliant move in this position. Can you guess what I considered? That's right. Bishop takes h6, sacrificing the bishop like a champion monkey king, because after rook to f6, queen to g3 arrived, gaining control of the file where the bishop was dominating the diagonal, claiming dominance. After the knight moved back to e6, trying to hold the position, followed by queen g3, knight g5 came next. Eventually, I considered rook takes h6, although the knight was well protected by the queen. It didn't matter because I could play rook f6 and capture the knight. Consequently, I would push my pawns to promote to a new queen because I was bored with just one queen. At this point, many chess players might consider f6, but that also didn't matter because after exchanges, the rook was protecting the pawn, and if Torch captured the pawn with his rook, I would take the knight. The position would be a dead loss for him. So, let me provide you a beautiful motivational quote in sudden with you. Surround yourself with positive people who believe in your dreams, encourage your ideas, support your ambitions, and bring out the best in you. So, going back to the position, we see that playing h6 or any normal move is a bad idea. Therefore, after the exchange and h5 attacking the knight, instead of capturing the pawn, Torch played knight to e5. You can see that I sacrificed two central pawns. You might say I lost my center, but whoever loses at first and wins in the end is a miraculous champion, like a magician, like Tal. I also sacrificed another pawn on h6. At this point, many chess players might consider g6 or capturing the pawn. For your better experience, let me show you the variation that happens if black captures the pawn on h6. Of course, the file would open, and after check, bishop takes h6 would arrive with the idea of playing queen g7 check. Therefore, after rook here, bishop blocks, and h6 arrives. The point is clear. I was considering bishop f6 to check the black king. This is why after h6, attacking the bishop and trying to protect the king simultaneously, I considered queen to h4, putting pressure on the pawn. And after rook to g6 arrived to protect the pawn, a3 arrived, followed by queen captures, bishop check, king g8, bishop h5, you can see that your rook would be helpless. The king's position would be lost because the rook file is wide open, and your king would be trapped in an Amazon rainforest, surrounded by crocodiles, alligators, lions and anacondas, all attacking your king. The position would be a dead loss for you. So, going back to the position, we see that capturing the pawn is a very bad choice. That's why after the bishop moved, we captured it, and a few moves later, I was attacking the pawn. Knight to g6 happened, followed by bishop d6, putting pressure on the queen. At this point, you can calculate how my pieces completely dominated the queen side. Many players might consider queen to a5. I think if Hikaru were playing black, he would have definitely considered this move. This time, I will capture the pawn. And here the best move for black is to consider f5. After that, I will play knight b5 with the idea of playing knight c7 to fork your pieces. You can see that your rook's position is harassed by my bishop. I will strike with a thunderbolt, and even if you play rook c8, I will play knight c7 to attack the rook. After the exchange, your queen will be under attack, and at the same time, I will win your rook, putting you in a vulnerable position. So, going back to the position, you can see that any queen escape move is a bad choice. After that, queen takes b2 happens in the game. You can see that all the escape routes for the queen have been blocked by my pieces. Therefore, after rook b1, the queen becomes paralyzed in its position. When queen takes c2 happens, I play queen e3. At this point, you can see that the black queen is trapped. She literally has no square to move to. After the rook moves, we have a queen for rook exchange, and rook takes d6. Capturing pieces. Now, I have a queen for two rooks, a knight for a knight, and a bishop for a bishop, and in the end, it's rook for knight. It's clearly winning for me, but I need to play correctly because black's structure and piece combination are perfectly balanced. Like the theory of relativity, everything is balanced. It might seem that there are areas with lighter or heavier gravity, but if you measure them all together, they are relative gravities. It's difficult to understand Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, and just like in chess, I am attacking the rook. Here we have knight to f7. At this point, I played a very cunning move. Can you guess what I played in the game? I played queen takes d8, sacrificing the queen. After the capture, rook takes the bishop, the knight is attacked, and at the end of the sequence, I win the knight and all the pawns. You can see that if these two pawns are eliminated, the game will be a draw. Rook for rook and knight would be a drawn endgame. A few moves later, you can see that I'm focusing on promoting to a new queen because that's the only way I can win the game. I just need to push the pawn forward slowly but surely. If I promote to a new queen, I will win. After the exchanges, you can see that in the end, we have a rook versus a king, and the game is completely won for me. Later, I checkmated him. I hope you enjoyed the game. If so, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Wishing you all the best. Bye bye, take care and see you soon.